Hello, welcome back. Today what I'm going to talk about is a brief introduction to APIs and also some more advanced web scripting code in order to gather the information from the TripAdvisor site that we need to do the API work that we're going to do. So as a brief introduction, API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it's a way that websites allow users to access their database directly. So APIs aren't the focus of this class. Our focus is web scraping, but it's important to cover APIs even briefly because they're kind of the traditional and accepted method of gathering data online. And even though our class is more focused on alternate methods when APIs don't exist, knowing what you can do through APIs is useful as kind of a support base for what we're going to do with the web scraping. And the particular application of APIs that we're going to use is geocoding, and for that we're going to use Google's geocoding API. And this is an interface which will basically allow us to get coordinate information in latitude, longitude given a certain address, and Google will allow us to get that information through an automated interface. And APIs are all different. In order to get the specific documentation of how to use a specific API, we go to the API's website. So Google has the developer's website that has all of their different APIs. This is the one we're going to use, and we're just going to cover this one. But again, if you need any other kind of API, you can go to the specific website and get those instructions. So if we scroll down through this website, this will have the instructions on how to use an API, and the typical format for making requests from an API is just through the browser, through the address line. So here you see a basic setup where you call the API website and you give it some parameters with a standard format. This isn't so important because here they actually have an example of what one of these calls looks like. So here if we copy and paste this into the address bar, we have to specify true or false. If it's a sensor data, ours isn't, so we say false, and we hit enter, and you can see it gives us back this information. And here we can see which kind of information it needs to actually process that request. So you have number, street address, city name, and state. And when you give that, it breaks down its inputs for you first and then gives you the results in latitude, longitude, and this is the data that we want. So our process is basically going to be first get this address data from our TripAdvisor data, automate the request to this API, and then parse this file, which is in JSON format, for these latitude, longitude, and then store that within our database. And we're going to do this all automatically by building additional functionality onto our existing Python web scraping code. So the first thing we need to do is to go to the TripAdvisor website and find out where this information is that tells us about the address. So if we go to TripAdvisor, this is the website that we've been working with for our web scraping. And if we scroll down, you see that up until now we've only been gathering data from this front page, and it has some important content such as the name, the rank, the number of reviews that we've been gathering, also the category, but it doesn't have any information about the address of the location. So in order to get further information on the website, we can actually click into the name of the site, and that will produce the site of the actual attraction, and here it actually has the address. So this isn't a good example because it's a general New York address, but if we go to something more specific like this show, you see it has a specific address. And if we click on this and go to inspect element, we can see where that lives in the site and what structure it has. You can see here that it's actually pretty good in terms of how it structures the addresses. Here you can see there's one span tag that has street address, and you have the address here. Another one that has an extended address, and you have the name of the theater. And another one that has the locality, which has sub-spans of locality and region, and New York City, New York. And that's actually good because this is the same sort of structure that Google Maps is looking for. It's looking for separate address, city, and state information. So in this case it works out pretty well, and the main task for us is to figure out, one, how to automatically get into this website, the more detailed subpage for each attraction, and then two, how to scrape this specific data, but that shouldn't be too hard because it's using pretty much the same tools we used before.